Hi, this is Luann with Rocket Book Reviews, and I'm so happy to be here today with author Carol Van Den Hende. Is that right?
Close enough. Good enough.
I
VanDenHende.
always butcher your name here. I'm sorry about that.
And it's great to see everybody here today.
Tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get acquainted with you, namely where you grew up and how many siblings and so forth.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Jersey and I am an only child. I always wanted a sibling but never had one. And so now in my adult life, I have the good fortune of being a mom to twins, which I absolutely adore. And besides being a mom to twins and married, I also have a corporate life. So by day, I work as I'm actually senior director of digital transformation for Mars Incorporated, and I work on digital for sustainability. And then my career has been in marketing, strategy. I've run brands in the US and in China. And besides that, I'm also a writer and a speaker, which is what brings me here with you today. And I also serve on boards of trustees. I just finished a term with a school for kids with autism. And I'm actually in discussions to really find my next board role with a purpose-driven organization.
I think you're amazing. And can you think of a couple of things in your youth that had an impact on who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people can have different experiences in their youth. And for me, I actually had both a lot of like, freedom and friends, which was a lovely like social circle to be in, but also hardship. And I think both of those things have forged me and made me who I am and made me stronger. So when I talk about hardships, my dad passed away when I was 12, which is something that, shows up in my fiction. My main character, Orchid Page, in Goodbye Orchid and in Orchid Blooming, the novel that's coming out in September of 2022, actually has this experience. She loses her parents at a young age, at the age of 12. And that very much forges her, informs her experience. It's something she carries as a wound or a scar into adulthood. And part of her growth is healing from that. But then also, it's not all heavy. It's also, there's, so much light and amazing things in the world. And I had, when I talk about the freedom that I experienced as a child, when I was growing up, it was that time kids would go outside literally with their front door key on a piece of yarn around their neck and could be out until it was dinner time, be out until it was dark. And that kind of exploring the world, trying things on my own or with my friends, actually gave me a lot of courage and independence and curiosity for the world, which I think is very healthy.
I agree. And I think so many of the children growing up today are really lacking in that experience. And I think it does affect the outcome of their lives.
Yeah.
Okay, you received your MBA in global marketing and digital strategy and chocolate. Can you explain?
So let me parse that out. I have my MBA from Lehigh University, and there I studied general management, marketing, supply chain, all, types of things. And so my MBA is just an MBA. When you talk about the other parts, when you're talking about digital strategy or global marketing, that has to do with my career. So those are two separate things. The career part, the reason chocolate comes up is because I work for Mars Incorporated, and a lot of my career, has been in marketing global brands like, M&Ms and Twix, where I launched Twix peanut butter, Three Musketeers, Milky Way, Dove chocolate in the US
How
and China.
painful.
Yeah, it's just, oh boy, such a terrible category. No, just joking. Actually, it is such a fun, amazing category that brings smiles and joy into people's lives, including my own. I've not gotten tired of chocolate. People ask me that sometimes, and I do not tire of chocolate and continue to absolutely adore the category. And then the digital strategy part is really part of my current role. So as I govern digital transformation for Mars, I look after what are the ways in which we can use our digital capabilities and digital transformation to serve the broader purpose of Mars, a purpose that is very inspiring to me, because we really believe in building a better world. And that is very much aligned with my values. I'm a very purpose-driven leader. And so all the things I do in my life, I really strive to have them match up when it comes to the principles by which I live my life. And that's true in my corporate life. That's true in the boards that I'm seeking in the ways that I want to give back. And it's absolutely true in my writing and my speaking. And that's why my debut novel, Goodbye Orchid, which came out at the end of 2020, has won awards for multicultural fiction and for disability awareness. These are things that are very near and dear to my heart, and also for women's fiction, which tells the character growth and character arc of my characters. Orchid Blooming now has actually just was awarded for the 5th time, even before its launch. And it has won for these things as well, for women's fiction, for multicultural fiction, for drama, for literary and contemporary fiction, for best couple. So this is very heartwarming for me to see the receptivity that readers have shown and reviewers have shown for my work.
And I have the number of 16 awards for Goodbye Orchid. I just got it today.
Yay! Oh my gosh, yeah, the cover looks beautiful with your background there. The colors you have are just perfect. That cover has actually won design awards. Kelly Emery did the design for Goodbye Orchid, and then Orchid Blooming is designed by Sarah Flood Bauman. And if you can see,
Oh, wow.
yeah, the cover is just,
That's
it's so stunning.
beautiful. I know you're into art. Did you design your own covers and have you illustrated them?
I am not the designer or illustrator. However, I have had a lot of experience with graphics and design, and I have so much respect for that field. And so my experience has been that have good fortune to work with some of the world's best design agencies. And that experience has really taught me how to be an amazing collaborator with designers, to be able to brief them, to be able to share, who the target should be, what the insight is about that target audience, and therefore inspire some amazing design. And so it is actually a really important role for the client to be well versed in graphics and design and understand what it can do. And so I feel like I've had a very strong hand in guiding what the vision was and what the covers should look like. But I wasn't the one to do the design myself. And that's why when I talk about the awards for the covers, I absolutely want to give credit to Kelly Emery, to Sarah Flood Bauman, who have done some amazing work. And these covers are so beautiful on their own. And then when they're together, it's even more powerful when you see the books as a series. And there's a 3rd one coming in 2023 that also will have that beautiful floral design, the contrasting designs. And there's always a message in the design itself. So in the Goodbye Orchid cover, the orchids are not whole. They're shattered because they represent the physical and emotional shattering of the main characters, Phoenix Walker and Orchid Page. And in Orchid Blooming, the petals are blooming throughout the cover, which is so beautiful. Amazingly, inside, and if you peek inside the book and look at the bottom right corner of every page, Luann, you'll see that there's an image of orchids. And when you flip through the pages, the orchids are going to appear to shatter until you get to the darkest point of the story. And then when you keep flipping through the pages, the orchids come back together for the emotionally satisfying ending. It's like a flip book feature inside that book.
That's kind of ingenious.
It is. It's really unique, and readers love it.
That had a lot of insight. You're an advocate for book covers. And I am too, because I am one of those browsers that if I don't see a book cover that looks attractive, I won't even look at it. And so I know that I'm not the only one out there. I know there's a lot of us out there. Why do you put so much emphasis on the book cover? Is that one reason?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, many people are just like you, Luann, what you described. It turns out a huge portion of our brains is devoted to visual information. We are visual creatures, and therefore we also are leading very busy lives. So we end up having to make decisions in a split second. And those snap decisions are often made on intuition. whether you have a good feeling when you see something visual. And that's why book covers, can draw people in, or maybe if they're not done well, people might just not even see them. It becomes wallpaper. There's so many choices. There's more than a million titles on Amazon alone. And therefore, to be able to break through is really part of the art of design. And then as well, a great design will land meaning, will be able to convey what is the central conflict or tension, or what is unique about this book. And that's an amazing art. And I love being part of that design process.
I now understand my feelings a little better now that you've said that, because I know I've always been that way. And I thought, I don't know why I'm so compelled to book covers, but I am. But also I want to thank you for clarifying. Well, I thought it was peculiar because I didn't know they offered MBAs in global marketing. So I'm glad you clarified that. Also, I want to commend you on your integrity, because in your views, in your work, and in your books and so forth, I think that's very commendable. It is amazing. 16 awards I've got listed that you've won already on Goodbye Orchid. And then it is amazing that even before your Orchid Blooming is released, you've already got 5 awards. So that's saying something. Very few people can say that. You do a lot of speaking at prestigious occasions, events. And when you were talking about the book cover, you do writers' conventions too, don't you? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, so it's such an interesting story how this all came about, and I'm really happy to share, how I speak at conferences. But the funny story is the way it started. So when I first joined the writers community, because I realized that I wanted to have, not just be by myself in a room at a keyboard and writing, but to find my people and find other writers and learn from them. So I joined a writers group right here in New Jersey. This was before COVID, so we were having an in-person meeting. I walked into the hotel room, this, beautiful little ballroom where we were having coffee, and each new person was to introduce themselves. So I stood up and I said, I'm CarolVanDenHende. I'm a marketer from Mars who, is famous for our chocolate brands like Twix and M&Ms, etc. And this gasp arose in the room, which I initially interpreted to mean like this, like happy noise, like this, people were so welcoming and so happy to hear my introduction. I thought, oh, these people must love chocolate. These are my people. And I was pretty excited. And then at the lunch break, what I realized when people started peppering me with questions about marketing is that they really wanted to learn from my professional experience. And so I feel like I was called to speaking, essentially because so many people were asking me the same questions. And once I saw how authors were approaching their careers, I saw ways that I could illuminate concepts and help people understand things that might seem mysterious or might seem daunting, and just really simplify them to ways to be actionable for authors. And so my first topic, I started speaking about brand. People were confused about the idea of brand. And sometimes when they were going to conferences, they were hearing about brand and branding in the same breath as if they were the same thing, and they're not synonymous. So I talk about the concept of brand, and that's important to land before you get to translating that to visual identity or your book cover design. And so, and I do a series of talks on book cover designs. And then really each topic came about organically because people needed them. So people wanted me to talk about marketing strategy and tactics. People also were finding that they were writing millennial characters when they weren't millennials themselves. And so when I was able to share generational insights, authors were getting these big ahas. In fact, one author, Nancy Herkness, who's in this writers group with me, told me that after I had shared the millennial workshop, it gave her a new conflict to weave into her novel that she'd been working on, because she felt like it was light on conflict. But I talked about one of the things that shaped the millennial generation is the weight of college debt. And so she was able to weave that right into her fiction. And so I speak on these topics and more, and I speak at both writers and publishers conferences. And I really enjoy that opportunity to meet more people in the community, in the writing and publishing community, and also to give back, as a way to pay it forward, because I find that writers and publishers are incredibly generous.
And you have a wonderful speaking presence. And I can just see anybody wanting to sit and listen to you for hours. So,
Really
but
kind of you to say. Thank you.
oh, very true. Um, Also, you created your own publishing company. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so Goodbye Orchid had been published by Kohler Books, which was a good experience. And I realized that I hadn't, as an author, hadn't experienced the production side of things. And I thought, for my next one or two, let me go ahead and publish on my own and learn more about publishing as a result. And so I started a Zine Press, which is my own imprint, and I'm putting out Orchid Blooming, and then the new novel that's coming in 2023 called Always Orchid. It will come out under Azine Press. As I set up that publishing arm, what I found was that because I'm a purpose-driven leader, it was really important for me to have the mission of the company be something meaningful to me. And so one of the things I'm very proud of, and also would encourage other publishers to think about, is I registered Azine Press as a B Corp, or benefits corporation. That's administered state by state. It's a way in which you can be a for-profit company, but yet have social and environmental goals built right into the mission.
And that's really amazing. I never even knew that existed. And you are very pay it forward type of a person that has been involved in other many charities. Can you tell us some about your charities you contribute to?
Yeah, well, because Goodbye Orchid and the Goodbye Orchid series that now is continuing with Orchid Blooming is inspired by combat wounded veterans. There are some nonprofits that are really completely relevant for me to fundraise for. And so a portion of profits from Goodbye Orchid and Orchid Blooming goes to USA Cares, which helps military veterans and their families in times of need. And also, I donate to Heather Abbott Foundation, who donates prostheses to people who've had traumatic accidents and can't afford them. A lot of times insurance will cover the most basic prosthetic devices, but not the more specialized ones that can allow people to get back into sports they love and other, things that they love to do. And so both of these are really special organizations. I've been supporting them, since Goodbye Orchid came out at the end of 2020. And then in addition, because I had shared Goodbye Orchid has won awards for disability awareness. Also, Springboard Consulting has named me Disability Hero of the Year for the work in Goodbye Orchid. And
Wow, that's
so,
wonderful.
yeah, thank you. And so that's also very important to me. Disability awareness, fairness, all of that. I have a kid who's special needs, and that's part of why that really speaks to me. And so one of the groups that I had been working with, I'd been on the board for a school for kids with autism. I hit my term limit, so I just finished with that. But that was also another group that's meaningful to me that I do contribute to.
And it blows my mind how knowledgeable you are in such a wide variety of things. And I think it's fantastic. So what are your goals that you'd like to accomplish in the near future?
Yeah, so with the launch and the release of Good Orchid Blooming coming out in September, of course, there are the more tangible goals of trying to reach readers. But for me, what inspires me and what keeps me focused and have the energy to do all of these different things, the corporate world plus my family plus writing and speaking, is that I want the my overarching mission is to inspire hope and empathy for people and planet. And so the goal really for Orchid Blooming, for Goodbye Orchid, for Always Orchid that will come out next year is to inspire that hope and empathy so that people feel like they're either seen on the page or that they can deepen empathy for people who are going through experiences that they may not have experienced. And I've heard that, people have given me that feedback. Readers have said that they either, if they've been through medical trauma, they can really relate to the accident that changes Phoenix Walker's life, or they can relate to the PTSD that Orchid deals with after having witnessed the death of her parents. And that brings a lot of, that can be quite consoling to see that. Or people say, I've never been through anything like that. But after seeing the experience, it really made me realize, like, to be grateful for what I have, to be grateful for my mobility, to, have empathy for people who are going through hard things medically or otherwise. And all of that is, makes it worth it, makes the hard work worth it.
Well, I hope to see a lot more. I'm excited to delve into this because I've read about it on your from the publicity and I read about you, and I'm just more excited now after meeting you to actually read it. So I'm really, and like I said, I would have loved to just browse and find this cover. And I love orchids, so what's there to lose?
Oh, perfect. I can't wait to hear what you think after you read it. You'll have to let me know.
Well, this has been a delight. And on your website, do you have a schedule of meetings you're speaking at and so forth that others could look into?
Absolutely. My website has information about me. It also has a tab called Speaking. And on there, they'll be able to see all of the events where I'm going to be live signing books, as well as virtual events. And there's some really fun ones coming up. On September 8th, actually, the CEO of Adventures by the Book, Susan Macbeth, is going to be interviewing me, doing a fireside chat to hear about the inspiration behind Goodbye Orchid and Orchid Blooming. So everyone is welcome to join for that. That is, there's a link on there to get your complimentary ticket to join and hear that interview. There's also in person, there's a launch party coming up on September 10th, in which people who are in New Jersey can come to Spring Lake to a beautiful independent bookstore called Thunder Road Books and have me sign copies of Orchid Blooming and Goodbye Orchid. And then I'm also signing books at Barnes & Noble in Easton, Pennsylvania, Easton/Bethlehem in October, first weekend of October. And I'm going to be signing in Florida, St. Pete's Beach, Florida on Saturday, September 24th. So, any listeners out there who are in any of those places, I would love to meet you in person. And then if you're not in those places, there are plenty of virtual events. In fact, Veterans Breakfast Club is going to be interviewing me at the end of August. And then in addition, what you'll see is I'm being interviewed on a dozen or 2 dozen, quite a few podcasts. And so there are plenty of opportunities to hear about the inspiration and hear more about the story in lots of places.
Sounds fantastic. And I wish I was closer and I'd be there.
It'd be great to meet you in
Other
person.
side of the United States.
Yeah, we're far away. 2 different time zones.
Unfortunately, we will be in Florida, but not until probably October, November. So
Okay. Well, enjoy the warm weather when you're there.
absolutely. Love the ocean. Okay. And for one lucky US Canada winner, there will be a giveaway for a copy of Goodbye Orchid. Ooh, this background, you can't see it very, there we go. Okay, and have you got any final comments before we close?
I would just encourage, people who have found anything of interest in this conversation to go ahead and connect with me. I'm really findable on social media. My website, you can sign up for my newsletter, and maybe one easy place to find me, because my long last name is a little hard to spell or pronounce. Welcome to find me via my link tree, linktr.ee/CVDH, which is my initials.
Okay. And it's been a delight. And my goal is to learn to pronounce your name correctly.
You're doing just fine.
Beautifully.
No problem, Luann.
Okay, and we will be posting your links on both YouTube and my blog site, rockandbookreviews.com. We'll be looking forward to talking with you again.
Love it. Thank you so much, Luann. Great seeing you today.
Thank you. And we hope that all of you out there will search the universe through books. Goodbye now.